This is YANE podcast about biohacking and biotechnology by Yanelab team. And today we have a very special guest, very serious guest, as you can see. My friend and CEO of the Odin, Josiah Zayner.
Oh,
hey,
wow.
Josiah.
That's impressive.
What?
I didn't know. It was, I got a lot of titles, actually. Some people like to call me the most censored man in America.
That's a recent one.
Some people like to call me doctor.
Do you like that?
You know, I don't mind it. But on this podcast, we're only going to refer to me as Dr. Zayner. You
want me to refer to you as Dr. Zayner?
No, I don't want you to refer to me as Dr. Zayner. Come on. I'm joking.
Yeah, I know. I really appreciate you for doing this, because I know you're not a fan of interviews, you're not a fan of podcasts, because I do understand that getting, asked same questions, and they are genuinely the same in every interview.
Also, it's really hard because if you know me, I'm somebody who likes to invest in things. And so, I don't do things really half-assed.
Oh, yeah. Josiah literally, helped me fix the lights and everything, because he's like, no, you don't do it that way.
And so, when I do interviews, I, try really hard. And so, it takes a lot, right? It takes a lot of emotional investment and things like that. So it's if I'm going to invest in something, I want to know that it's for something good. It's a worthwhile investment.
Well, I hope you're not going to regret this interview. And I really appreciate it. And especially because you're an introvert and I'm also an introvert.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it's always interviews are great, right? It's important to...
It's funny because people think I'm not an introvert because I do all these things on camera and stuff like that. But I was forced to do it.
Well, Yeah, people usually think that introverts are sociophobes. They're afraid. Yeah. You're not afraid. You still enjoy talking to people. It's so exhausting. You just put out so much of yourself.
Yeah.
So
it's if I don't have to, I don't want to.
Yeah. I recuperate for days, after, especially intense, when it's something emotional. It got better because we started.
Oh, it does get better. You become kind of used to it, which is weird.
You turn on this character of yourself. Well,
it's interesting because it's not a character. What it is it's it is a character, but it's a way to protect yourself. And so you express yourself in a different way than you normally would. Because normally if I would just express myself, I would just be I'm Josiah Zayner. I don't want to talk to you. I don't really care. But that is not something that people are interested in or shows how I feel. So then I have to reach inside me and take that emotion that normally I bottle up and kind of release it. But from filming and doing all this stuff we've been doing lately, that it takes a lot out of you to just release that emotion.
Yeah, I definitely learned to do that more. I felt there's definitely levels to that, many levels, and I didn't reach first level, and I was okay, maybe I am prepared for that. But then when you're doing a documentary like Biohack the Planet that we're filming here in Austin, and it is an absolutely different level, because when it's usually an interview or podcast, you don't have that much time to spend together, so you just cover the bare minimum of who you are, what you do, what's your what great things did you do, and talk about that.
Oh gosh.
Right? Or famous things about you.
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
people ask you all that, what do people ask you?
The same stuff.
CRISPR or...
Oh yeah. Gut hack, microbiome experiment, CRISPR, obviously the COVID vaccine, obviously all the stuff, the censorship,
Do they ever ask you, how are you?
No.
How are you?
Okay. Yeah. No, but I mean, that is the thing, right? Is that like I didn't choose for this stuff to happen, and a lot of people think I did or that I want the attention. And I'm not saying that like, I turned down so many interviews, like a ton. I'm not saying that I don't like accept interviews and things like that. I could just not do any interviews and like not have any attention at all, or at least try to avoid it as much as I can. But that like affects my business, right? It affects the people I employ. It affects so much about my life if I don't do some interviews. So it's kind of like I'm stuck in this cycle of like people wanting to pay attention to me and me participating in it so I can help the people around me and like do stuff for biohacking and do my own experiments and all these other things. And it is kind of annoying because like if I really had my own way, I would just, be pretty secluded and be like a hermit almost. I mean, I would hang out with my friends, but
yeah, I get that, obviously not to your level because still beginning, but it's hard thing to learn that. I mean, I don't enjoy public, sharing it to public. I don't enjoy giving interviews. I don't enjoy being seen, but it's the thing we have to do, and I feel like most people don't understand that. It's the thing you have to. That's the sacrifice you give to bring publicity to biohacking, to what you're doing, to problems, and that's how you
exactly
help.
Right. That's what I think people. Like obviously, I know that people are going to pay attention to the things I do. Like, obviously, I can't plead ignorance about that. But, like, I'm not out there, like, I'm trying to be famous. I could give a shit about being famous. That's, like, the least of the things I've ever wanted in my life. Like, literally, the least of the things I've ever wanted in my life. And so that is just a means to an end for me, right? And that's to, like, build a company, build biohacking, build my life, make something for the people around me. That's all it is. And, I think people get me really wrong because, like, all these documentaries want to follow me and I'm on all these shows and I do all these interviews and, like, people don't know how many I turn down. Just, like, how many people who contact me, I just won't talk to or don't talk to her.
Or I feel like people would think that it's more of an entertainment to be, like, in a documentary or give an interview. But it's also, I've been here 3 months, right? I've been working at the Odin, helping with like construction packages, basically anything that needs to be done. And also we were doing filming, and 8 hours of work, putting the walls, painting everything is definitely easier than giving a 30-minute interview.
That's what I think people don't understand, is that like being in a documentary is not easy, right? Doing this work is not easy because you have to, like, sure, you could sit down and you could just like talk, but that's like a terrible job. Nobody likes that, right? People want to connect with you. They want to understand you. And so you have to be yourself. You have to be raw. You have to be open. And like, it's like going to a therapist for 8 hours. If you film for 8 hours in a day, it's like going to a therapist for 8 hours. And anybody who's going to a therapist knows like 1 hour of therapist in a day is just like so taxing.
Oh yeah, I'll be like counting minutes because my therapist, she
You're
had
just like, oh
clock
my gosh,
over her head, and I would just be like,
I'm so worn out. I just like need a drink after this.
I need to sleep or just like
Yeah.
just distract myself.
And you're doing that for like 8 hours. That's tough.
Yeah.
It leaves you like really raw, and it's
vulnerable.
traumatizing. Yeah, and I tried to tell you that when we started filming. I was like, look, it's going to be hard, and like it's going to be kind of exploitative, right?
In a way, yeah.
Yeah. And like I want you to be prepared for that. That like you need to take time for yourself and understand that it's hard. But I'm sure people didn't come here to listen to me bitch about being filmed.
I think they do, because I mean, even if they don't, I don't care, because
yeah, but I mean, we could
necessary.
talk about other stuff,
Yeah.
like I don't mind.
But I feel like it's interesting, and I do want to share that because, and I do
We'll
want to
put that
talk
at
about.
the end so that like people who want to listen to all the good stuff,
It's all good stuff in my opinion.
they can listen to it now.
I feel like Biohack the Planet is definitely.
Yeah, we could talk about Biohack the Planet, you know? So, like, here's the thing is, like, the media totally exploits people, biohackers, everybody in general. And it's one of the reasons I really stopped. There was, like, a good period, probably from before we did the COVID vaccine thing, for, like, I don't know, a good year where I did, like, barely any interviews. Like, barely any, right? Maybe, like, one a month or less, which is like, gosh, you know, if I don't do like multiple a week sometimes, you know, so like one a month is like nothing for me. There was a good period of like, I swear it was almost a year where I didn't do much in terms of media interviews because the narrative is totally, the media is in control of the narrative, right?
Oh, yeah.
They can talk about biohackers whatever they want, and they can say whatever they want about biohackers. And I learned that. And you'll remember that, like, when we did the COVID vaccine experiment, one of the big things I was like, is like, let's control the narrative. Like, let's do this ourselves. Let's make sure that we only talk to people we want to talk to. Let's make sure we only put out the information we want to. Let's control the narrative on this whole thing. And it really helped, right? It really helped not allow the media to make us look like idiots.
Or just spread controversy.
Yeah, exactly. Just be like, look at these crazy people who are doing this or something. They're right-wing crazies or something. Because that shit happens, right? You'll be like, what? That's not me at all. Like, you're saying stuff that, like, I've never even said or talked about in my own. People call us anti-vaccine when we like literally took a vaccine, and you're like, how does that even make any sense?
Before anyone else.
Yeah, you're like, how does that even make any sense? And so like controlling the narrative became very important. And eventually I was like after I got censored from YouTube, I was like, in order to show biohacking how it really is, like I need to start my own production company and start making content that is the way it really is. That's biohackers as who they are.
So Biohack the Planet is coming probably 2022. Who knows?
I hope to release content before that. You know, we're also filming this thing about the COVID vaccine and stuff like that. Like, I hope that we have content before the end of 2021 that we can put out.
That would be amazing. But I just know how much. You know, usually when I'd like wait for a movie or something, I'm like, what? 2 years? I'm like, what do you mean? That's so much time. And now I'm like, whoa, if you put something out before the end of 2021, that's so fast. That's incredible work. That's like, dude, you don't sleep, you don't eat, you just like spend your whole time. I don't know, hire 20 editors and everything.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of work, but I think we're gonna make stuff that's really beautiful and cool. We're actually gonna put time and effort into it that like biohacking deserves, you know, and not just try to make something that's sensational and controversial.
I know, I like that. And I'm sure that a lot of bioethicists and people would be like, ooh, this is so controversial because you do it about yourself, so it's not objective. I'm like, well, you all did everything. You talked everything.
You know what's funny is that bioethicists would have nothing to talk about if we didn't do anything.
No, just thank
Like, what would they
us
talk
for
about?
for the
Thank
hype.
us for your job. Like,
is it
literally.
even a job? No, I'm actually asking if it's.
I think there's very few actual bioethicist jobs in the world, but you know, I just mean that hyperbolic. You know, like they wouldn't have anything to talk about and post on Twitter about if it wasn't for us, which is funny. It's really funny.
You know,
it's really funny that they're still trying to talk about the DIY vaccine that we did
year ago, even more.
A year ago, and you're just like, oh geez, you know, like a year ago, now you think it's like kind of relevant.
You're like, oh sweetie, and you kind of like pet their head.
I know. It's funny. It's so funny because it's just like, I don't care. Like, I'm the one doing stuff, you know. It was like Teddy Roosevelt, one of the presidents of the United States, he said something like, it's not the critic who counts, it's the person who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred with the sweat and blood of battle.
Yeah. I agree.
And it's the truth. Like, they're not the ones that ever have to make these decisions about ethics, right? They're not the ones who are in the arena, who are getting challenged every day by people, who are getting criticized every day by people. That's not them. They're the ones who are criticizing. We're the ones who have to take that criticism and still be courageous enough to do what we do. That is crazy, I think.
I know, and sometimes, I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a crazy person, but I consider myself a person that is capable of doing crazy shit. This is how I like to put it out. And because we all have common sense, and a lot of people would judge you and David, and it does make you angry because I'm like, you don't know anything about them. You don't know how sweet they are, how what great heart they have, and how thoughtful they are.
Yeah.
And I just
No, people don't know. Like, everybody thinks they fucking know me because
they saw a video on YouTube.
They saw a fucking video on YouTube with me in it. They think they fucking know my whole life because they saw a video of me on YouTube. And it's like, that's a hard place to be in life. When you're just like, you have no idea anything about me, right? Like, my biohacking experiments, the process that went into it, the effort that went into it, the love and care and everything that went into it, you have no idea. And you choose to judge me because some fucking 5-second clip that you saw on John Oliver or some shit. And it's just like, that is a hard place to be a human being, to exist in that world. It really is. Because people can't treat you normally anymore, right? You're not just like somebody else. Like, when you meet a person, generally interact with a person, you have no idea anything about them or who they are. Maybe you find a little bit on social media or something like that, but that's it. When you walk into a situation and people think they know everything about you, like, it's totally different, and it's not enjoyable. It's completely one-sided. And even if it's positive, even if they're like, oh, I love you so much, you're amazing, you're just like, this is weird and kind of creepy. Like,
oh yeah, I had my first, because I'm still, I have to enjoy, and I'm very grateful for this time right now, because I am being seen and recognized, but definitely not on the scale, in the bigger scale. So I appreciate this time and try to focus more on it, to be because you are more free when you're unseen.
Yeah.
And I had this time when, I think I told you the story, when I went to a restaurant with my partner.
Yeah.
Just to have a date, night, eat some pizza, drink some wine, talk about, I don't know, work and just boring stuff.
I love that stuff.
Just the most boring stuff you're talking about.
That's all I ever wanted, is just people to be
picking
boring with
towels.
me.
I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, totally.
And then, the owner of the restaurant sits, and he's like, hi, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And that's a fancy restaurant, a well-known person in Dnipro. And, I was like, oh my God, I thought that I would be happy. And because he was very respectful and super nice. We're still, keeping in touch. But that definitely shifted my paradigm, because I thought that, you're just coming to eat dinner with someone you love. And then you have a person recognize you and talk to you and be like, oh, I seen your work. What you did is cool. Can I, and you super respectful, super nice guy. But I felt so ashamed for some reason. I couldn't talk normally. I was just frozen,
totally.
sitting
Same
like
with me.
this,
I'm just whenever anybody does that, I'm just kind of whenever anybody recognizes me or comes up to me or something like that, I'm always like, hi.
The most awkward ever.
I don't know what to say. Because it's just I just want to be treated like a normal person.
Because no one expects anything or wants anything from a normal person.
Yeah, totally.
And people do want stuff from you all the time. Oh gosh,
it's all everybody just does is want stuff from me. Nobody ever messages me and says hey, how's it going? How can I help you out? And be a good friend to you today. Or something like that. No, it's Josiah, I got this new experiment I want to do. Josiah, I want to biohack the world, help me, Josiah, I want to cure this disease. Just like a million messages every day. Everybody just asking me, to work on a project with them or help them or do this thing with them. And I'm just like, oh God, like,
this is too much for one person.
I just wish somebody would be like, hey, Josiah, like, I just want to, like, see how you're doing and, like, try to be your friend today or something. And it's like...
But probably no one ever.
No, nobody, Like, I don't have a ton of friends. And it's not because, like, I couldn't try to have friends, but because there's very few people who can treat me real and act real and, be...
Not be fanboys and fangirls.
Oh, yeah. I'm a real human being. And that's what I think everybody on the internet forgets is, like, all these scientific experiments, everything I do. Like, I'm not the person who thinks I'm a genius or anybody owes me anything. I don't think the world owes me shit, I'm not trying to impress anybody or win any prizes or do any... Everything I do, all the experiments I do are for me. 1,000% for me. That's so egotistical and that's so, like, I get it. Selfish, but it's like, it's me. I do them for me. I don't do them for anybody else. I did the microbiome transplant because I wanted to see what would happen. That's it. I didn't care what anybody else thought. I didn't do it for other people and hope that, it made me famous. Like, the COVID injection, that I did because I wanted to show people what was possible. Like, that was for me. Like, I was like, look at this thing I found out and nobody knows it, right? We can make this thing, right? I wanted to show people that. It was all for me.
I don't think it's egotistical or selfish because one great person, I don't remember names, said that, the more people, the more think that they are special, the better it is for the world. The more they do for themselves, the more they love themselves, the more they can do for others, their neighbors, their friends. And I agree with that because, you wanted, with okay, we're going to talk about gut hack, sorry.
No, it's
but,
fine.
like, you did that transplant. And it was about, because you're suffering from a condition, and it's definitely not pleasant, and no one else would be like, oh yeah, I would totally live with that and not, because no, you wouldn't. No one would. And yes, you did that.
Gosh, and it was crazy, because I took a ridiculous amount of samples. I had no money at the time, but all the money I saved up, I spent to sequence, it was $5,000. I spent it all to sequence the samples because I wanted to see what would happen, right? Obviously, it's something I want to share my science with the world. I'm not saying I didn't want to tell people about it, but what I mostly cared about was I wanted to see what would happen. Me, I was curious. I was so fucking curious to be like, is this possible? Nobody else has done this. Why hasn't anybody else done it? I want to try to do it and see if it works. And it fucking did. And I was like, that's really cool. I could take some crazy idea that's based on science and try it out and it might work. And that's my main message to people is that if I can do it, other people, I'm not super special. I'm the first person just to be like, yo, if you put me in any standardized testing or anything like that, I'm not going to do well. People are going to see that whoa, I'm probably at I don't know, even though I have a degree in biophysics, which is all math, you asked me to solve some algebra problem, oh gosh, don't do that. It's going to be ugly. I'm not some super genius or anything. I don't think so at all. I think the one thing that I just have is maybe courage, and that's,
curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity and courage. I think that's it.
I feel like people nowadays and bioethicists, they consider curiosity to be a sin when we consider it to be a gift.
Oh yeah, no, that's perfectly said, right?
Thank you.
It's perfectly said, and I think the world thinks that a lot also, not just bioethicists. I think a lot of people view, because the world is going more and more towards homogeny, right? Like people are more and more fighting to be like the person next to them, right?
Kind of like second law of thermodynamics.
Yeah, right? It does. People want to move. It's tribal. Human beings are tribal, right? We want to be with our tribe. It doesn't matter what you do. You could remove skin color, hair color, all the colors. People are going to find something to be tribal about, right? They want to be part of their tribe, and they want their tribe to be the biggest and strongest and control everything because their tribe is correct. It's just like some primal human thing we have.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, when you're different, you immediately are going to have a hard time. Even if simple stuff, like I dress different, or like my gender identity, or, you know,
Tattoos,
sexual
piercings,
preferences
yeah.
are different. Like any of these things, like, which are super superficial, like how does that affect anybody? Like who I have sex with? How does that affect anybody?
Even in first world countries, when it's illegal, right, homosexuality or anything else, right, it's still a lot of people will consider it's their business.
It's like, how does that affect anybody? Why does anybody care? It's because it's different from the norm, and people like the norm. It doesn't matter. We all do. You know, that's why we all, like, the clothes we wear are so dumb. Like, we have so many options. I hate men's clothes. Like, seriously. Like, people who present as a man, you have, like, jeans and shirts, t-shirts, and that's, like, it, right? Yeah, you can maybe wear slacks or something, but generally you got jeans and t-shirts. That's your only option to, like, be male, right?
Or if you do, you know, especially in Ukraine, I can see that males, if you try to, like, spice it up your looks, and I like that, like, you know, now we have a lot of, and I feel like queer culture influenced fashion so much, and it made it very, you know, great, because you can have insane pieces of clothing you didn't even think of. And, you know, in Ukraine, even, like, I'll have my classmates, you know, like, pierce their ears, boys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would be like, oh, you're a fag, you're gay, and be like, we're gonna bully you. And you're like, why do you care? Who are you?
Why does it care what somebody does to their body?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
And I feel the same way as we're judged by our COVID vaccine, because one of the biases said that we're, you know, body...
Oh, you read it?
Yeah, body... I did.
No, I know. I just can't read that shit.
I stopped doing that. I did, because I hit the limit of curiosity.
Yeah, I know. You're just like, they're all saying the same thing anyway.
One of them, because I was, like, curious. It didn't happen to me before. And one of them said that bioautonomy is not a good enough reason to do that. And I'm like, you're literally that bully to bully other boys in high school for having, like, pierced ears. There's no, you know, no substance, no logic, no argument behind that, other than just like, you make me feel weird, I don't like you.
Yeah, I know. It's so, and that's the problem with biohacking, is that, like, it's so outside people's norm of reference that they don't know where to place it. And so what they do is, it's crazy, people immediately go to, like, they're terrorists, or like
bioterrorists,
right?
I got called that,
or just like crazy stuff, and you're just like, yo, I'm just doing so, like, I can't even do it. Even if I tried really hard, I could not do anything that was bioterrorist, and you're calling me a bioterrorist.
People don't realize. I like how you're testing, like, vaccine on yourself, kind of risking your life in a way, just to, like, to benefit. And it was like, oh, you're, like, gonna kill us, and you're like, asshole, I'm doing it for you as well.
I know.
Even if you don't appreciate it.
That's what people don't understand. Is that, like, everything we do for, like, biohackers do for, like, body autonomy, like, one day when you're on your fucking deathbed, you have cancer and there's no treatment, and the doctor says, I can't help you. What you're gonna fucking think is like, I want to try something crazy.
Yeah, what are you risking? You're gonna die anyway.
Every single person is gonna have this thought. Every single human being. I want to try something crazy. And you know who fought for that fucking right for you to try something crazy? You and me. We fought for that right. It hasn't happened yet. You can't try crazy stuff to help yourself in the U.S. Right? But, like, we are the ones. You're talking shit about me. You're hating me. And I'm still doing it for you. That's how much I care. That's how much I care about biohacking and like all these experiments, is that these people who hate me, I'm still doing it for them so that they will also have that opportunity and chance. And I'll do it for them no matter what. You know, they put me in jail. I'm still going to try to do it for people because I think everybody should have that right to experiment on their bodies, to try risky treatments, to try and save themselves. Like, I think everybody should have that right.
Yeah, I definitely agree to that. And honestly, I didn't know what more to say other than I wish people would be less afraid. Because, you know, fear... Who said that? Probably Yoda or something.
Oh.
Fear is the enemy of wisdom or something like that.
I don't know, but it sounds good.
Like, fear is mind killer.
Oh, Fear is Mine. That's Dune.
Dune. Okay, yeah. Well, still a cosmic
That's
theme.
really good. Fear is the mind killer. Let it pass through me, and when it's gone, only I will remain.
Such a geek moment. I'm so
I don't
sorry.
even know if that was correct. I'm sorry. I probably didn't quote it correct, so don't hate on me. It was close, though.
Yeah, you'll have some people who texting you. And, you know, I really...
That's the thing, is like we are risking ourselves for other people, and, you know, they just think, like, they hate us for it. And it's just so funny to me, you know? It's like, you hate me for trying something crazy on. It's like astronauts or anybody else, you know? It's like, why? You can't hate that person because they're doing something we know, even though how much you care about space, who knows, right? Maybe you care a ton about space, maybe you don't give a shit because you have way more important concerns like surviving today in your life. But like, that person is risking their life to like further humanity in some way. Explore something that's dangerous and crazy and go to outer space. You don't talk shit about them, right? Because like, you know they're risking something for humanity.
You wouldn't be sick. Oh, Yuri Gagarin, what a pussy. You wouldn't say
what
that.
What a dummy. Like, totally gonna die. What is he doing?
Like,
He's
what
an
an
idiot.
example you're setting. What if now other people are gonna build rockets and die if they're gonna, you know, try to explore space? And that's how I see bioethicists. Most of the bioethicists.
Same, I
complaints.
agree. It's like, look, all I'm trying to do is like help people. That's it. And maybe I'm not perfect at it, and maybe I'm not the best at it, and maybe I don't look like everybody else, so I can't present biohacking in the way that they want to see it. But like, I'm doing my best. I'm imperfect. I get that. I'm not saying I'm totally perfect and everything I do is perfect. My motives, everything is perfect. It's not. But like, I'm just a human and I'm doing my best. And like, all you're doing is fucking criticizing me, telling me how like you could have done it better, or like somebody else could have done it better, or somebody should have,
Oh, that's what you hope for. You hope that someone's gonna recreate it and actually do it better. I was like, yes, please,
What I hope, people ask me like, oh, so what if other people go out and try to recreate your vaccine or create a vaccine in their home? And I'm just like, I wouldn't be more happy.
Like, you consider that bad? Like, what are you thinking if you consider that bad?
Like, if I lived in a world where people were creating their own medicines to save their own lives in their homes, like, that is the most beautiful thing I would ever witness. If I helped in some way make that happen, like, rather than people dying because they can't afford their insulin, or like not being able to create drugs that they need for their lives, like, I would be so proud.
I agree. And speaking of beautiful things, do you consider your experiments and everything you've done as art?
Yeah, no, I mean, the one thing I'm most pissed about in my life is that, like, I'm not like a musician or a singer or something like that. Like, I'm so pissed about that, because like, all I want to do is get up on stage and express myself to people. Like, I have so much inside me, so much emotion that I like need to get out. Maybe I'm just born that way. I just want to express it to people. But like, I fucked up. I ended up as a scientist, where it's like the opposite of what you're supposed to do, right? Scientists are supposed to be unbiased, unentertaining, unlike expressive. You're not supposed to put emotion in your science or anything like that. Like, it's not supposed to be an emotion-based thing. It's supposed to be like unemotional. And I can't do that. So I'm just like, how do I put emotion into my science? How do I express myself through my science? And that's basically like everything I've done has kind of come from that. Is that like, and a true story, and most people don't know this, is like when we were doing the COVID vaccine experiment, and I tried to convince you guys to fake die after we did the first injection. Do you remember that?
You were joking.
Remember that? No, because I was like, I want to push the boundaries of the way people experience science. Like, so far. Because I want it to be about the science so much. I want people to be able to be like, look, I just did this experiment, and here's incontrovertible proof that it works. But I did it in such a ridiculous way that everything inside you is like, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. You can't do that. But the data's there, and data's the truth. At least that's what scientists say, right? But it's not. It's not. Because people look at me and people look at the way I present my science, and they say, it's wrong because it's Josiah. Right? I have some people on Twitter who every time I post something, they like, I don't know, post some like shitty joke about it or something like that. Because basically they're saying it's like wrong because it's a Josiah. Right? It's because I look different, because I act different, because like, look at me, like I'm not what people imagine when they see a scientist. Like,
yeah, when they think of a PhD biophysicist and the CEO of a biotech company,
there's zero people, right, who look like me. Zero. And so they're judging me and not the science. And like, my goal in life is just to drive that into the ground. I want to do the most advanced experiment anybody ever did, and I want to do it in a clown suit.
hell yeah.
Right? Because I want to challenge what people think science is. I want science to be an experience. I don't want it to be data, because what I'm saying is like, you don't even believe the data when the data's there. No, you look at me. So let's just say this isn't about data anymore. What it's about is how you present it. And like, I'm going to challenge the way you perceive this on a fundamental level. I want to challenge the way people see science on a fundamental level.
That is very artistic. I like how a lot of people, I think it was Isaac Asimov that said that, you know, the art and science are like different sides of the coin, something like that. And I do believe that, right? As science and art being connected. And I have a lot of artist friends, and you know, for some reason between scientists and artists, there's like this connection. Maybe it's just suffering from your profession, because you're just suffering. But how do you think science and art are connected?
Scientists are repressed artists. They
like,
are.
Gave up. They gave up.
No, they didn't give up. They're just like, if you could take an artist and repress all the emotion, you'd get a scientist. Like, it's so funny because growing up in academia and like doing all this stuff, not growing up, but I mean career-wise growing up, you know, I didn't get into academia until I was in like my mid to late 20s. So like, my parents aren't PhDs. That's not what I meant. But like, you look at these people and you always like, every once in a while you'll see a hint of emotion where somebody will get upset about like some scientific controversy. There's one time I went to this conference. It was funny. It was like my first big conference I went to, the Gordon Research Conference. Gordon Research Conferences are like super famous conferences. It's like invite only. You have to like apply to go to these conferences. And I go to this conference. It's my first big conference. And like one of the talks, like third, fourth, fifth talk, these people got up and they got in like an argument over type 3 secretion systems. Who knows what type 3 secretion systems are? Nobody. But it's like this protein structure in bacteria that allows them to like stick another bacteria with a needle and then like inject DNA into them. Totally crazy.
Is that like a conjugation thing?
Similar. But so type 3 secretion systems, and these guys, these two, PhD professors at really well-known universities just like start fighting and like yelling at each other, and you're just like, oh shit, it's going down, But that rarely happens. After that, I like never saw it again. Sometimes I like heckle people or something, but like I never saw it again. Sometimes though, you see these like glimpses of like scientists that have so much emotion in what they do. They're just trying to repress it so hard that it like rarely or never comes out, right? Because like scientists, their shit makes the world, right? Yo, if climate change is real, if climate change is not real, like there's a lot of shit to go down. And if you're like really a climate change scientist and really anti-climate change scientist, like you should be fucking throwing fists, Like if it matters that much, like if you care that much that you think it's gonna like destroy humanity, like that's something that's okay to throw fists over,
I agree.
Is humanity gonna be destroyed? Like you should be willing to fight for that. And I think scientists are. They're just brought up in this culture where it's so repressed to where like none of them are willing to be the artist and like pretend like they're doing something that they can express some sort of emotion.
Would you consider yourself more of an artist or a scientist?
Oh, 100% artist. Yeah. You know how I know? I always wanted to be a scientist, and I always thought of myself as a scientist, but like I just click with artists. Like if I meet an artist, like we just click. Like there's connection that just like kind of happens. It's not all artists or anything like that, but like with scientists, it's like a battle where like if I want to make a connection and be friends with a scientist, or like I got to put effort and effort and effort and effort and effort, and they're willing to put in, like, for some reason I'm not a person who clicks with scientists as much as I want to. Like I feel
very uncomfortable. They're not like my friends, which are also weirdos like me,
Yeah.
I feel like a black sheep.
And that, that's just the way it was for me. And I had to realize, even though for a long time, it's so funny because like if you Google my name, right, I used to say like scientist or something like that, but I don't know when it happened. Sometime it happened, where it like changed to artist. So now if you actually Google Josiah Zayner or go to like Wikipedia,
yeah, it'd be like artist, scientist, and something else.
No, it just says artist. Like if you Google my name,
oh nice.
Like how Google have like a little box that pops up that just like gives like what the person's occupation is and some bullshit like that. It says Josiah Zayner artist, which is fucking funny.
Do you like that?
I fucking love it because it's just like such a slap in the face to everything. The establishment, myself, just like it's so iconoclastic. It's so different. Like who would call somebody with a PhD from University of Chicago and one of the most technical, I studied fucking thermodynamics, which is just like
no
insanity. The stuff I knew is just like, oh my gosh, people shouldn't know that stuff. Sat through statistical mechanics and physical chemistry and like high level math that I still suck at. So much math in my PhD, and it was so technical. Published papers in really fancy biophysical journal of molecular biology, like a bunch of good journals that are super solid, like scientific journals, like people who are doing serious, like fundamental shit publish in there. I won the best PhD thesis award. Like me, that's fucking ridiculous.
Damn.
Right? University of Chicago, which is top 10 universities in the world, right? Best PhD thesis. Went on to work at NASA. Like, I don't think you could be more of a scientist than if you're a fucking NASA scientist. Like, I don't know.
I dreamt about being a NASA scientist.
I was co-chair of one of these Gordon Research conferences that are super prestigious. You get elected. Like, people elect you. They vote for you to, like, be a chair of these like, super prestigious. And the only thing you get is, like, a t-shirt. But it's really, I'll save that t-shirt for the rest of my life. Gordon Research Conference chair. Like, if you look at those credentials, you could say nothing more than that person is a scientist, right? That's it. Like, you look at that and you say that person's a scientist. But the fact that I'm called an artist, just like, it tickles me so much, right? Because like, despite all that stuff, it's like the microbiome transplant. Despite eating poop, I'm not known as the person who eats poop, which is just, to me, it's so funny. You
It's
know?
already like a blessing not to be like poop eater and like Google.
I know, right? So I find being called an artist just, it tickles me. I love it. Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about present and future. So we're in Austin because Odin moved from Auckland to Austin.
Yeah.
And we're actually on a party right now.
Are we?
Yeah, people came, and yes, it's a party,
I
a
know,
little
too.
party right now because I'm leaving.
It's crazy in there.
Not really. Don't lie. I can see.
There's so many people. It's so loud.
Literally all the Odin employees. Not even all of them.
There's only 5 people here.
Yeah. It's nice people.
The best 5 people that I would want to be with.
I know. I agree. It's just feels so comfortable and at home, and definitely, I mean, there's not even a discussion that moving to Austin is going to bring more opportunity, more growth, and it's next stage for the Odin. And what do you hope to, I know it's such a cheesy question and I hate these questions, but what do you hope to accomplish in like a year, next year, 12 months from now?
Oh gosh, 12 months. Here's the thing that's really important to me right now. We have, the Odin and myself, we have this main goal of just like teaching people and helping them understand science and biology and genetic engineering and stuff like that. The problem is like getting to the place where you can give people hands-on genetic engineering, like something they can experience really heavily, besides like, oh, that bacteria changed color or something. No, like something really tangible they can hold in their hand and be like, this is fucking genetic engineering, right? Like, until they get to that place, it's underwhelming even to me, Like, I love our kits, I love our classes that we can teach people genetic engineering, but like, we need something people can do hands-on stuff with. And so I really want to focus on these hands-on things. That's why we're working with, materials. We're making bacterial cellulose, and we're trying to sell kits with that. We're working on bioluminescent mushrooms and mushroom materials and stuff like that, because I want to start building up people's fascination with science and biology by giving them cool hands-on things. Like, the one thing I want to do is the fucking meat and chicken nuggets.
So you can like produce something and kind of consume it or just keep it.
You can do the genetic engineering and it's some product thing that you have, right? Everything's so ephemeral and intangible right now. And I just want to make it tangible, right? I want to make it so that like when you genetic engineer something, it's something in your hands that you can show your friends, that you can keep for an extended period of time. And I think that the meat is it, like growing meat in culture. Like, how can you get more tangible than fucking growing meat in a flask? Like, that's
freaking burger.
That's such cool biology. Like,
sci-fi shit you see on like.
It is. And like, how can you get more hands-on than that? Like, you're literally growing your meat food. Like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And it's hard. Like, figuring out how to make it something you can send people, how to scale it, how to make sure that people can scale the growth of these cells. These aren't easy problems, but I think they're all surmountable. And I think we're going to be able to do it. I think we're going to be able to make kits that we can sell to people where they can grow their own meat chicken nugget in flasks.
I really think so, especially with the progress.
That we've been, like, I showed you how to do this stuff, and isn't it crazy?
It is crazy. We literally have like a flasks right now with freaking chicken meat cells, which look absolutely crazy. Freaking alien cells, man. I'm telling you, those chickens were from Mars. It looks weird, and it's like, it's not only then you're like keeping this biomaterial alive. I just refer to meat as biomaterial.
That's a good one. I like it.
It also replicates itself. And this one is hard for me to sink in.
It is. It's weird because it's living. It's like it is like an alien. It's like this little pet you have. It's like a little pet, right? and you almost treat it like a pet, except it's something that's in a flask, right? It's not the living chicken anymore, right? You've taken the chicken cells, like the chicken's brain is gone, its heart isn't pumping anymore, but like its cells are still alive.
Yeah.
And they act differently. So like cells from different chickens will act differently. They have their own, like, I want to say personality, which sounds really weird, but it's like you give them the same media, the same temperature, the same stuff, like they'll grow differently. They'll look differently. Yeah, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like these things are weird. They're alive. Like they don't have a brain, but like they are alive.
I love that. And I really enjoyed my time here. I think it's great, and it's incredible the progress that I think the Odin just moves, like Elon Musk maybe walks, like maybe he's like 2 miles ahead of anyone else. I think the Odin is like 100 miles ahead of everyone else. Like literally people don't just get it. I feel like I want to call you low-key Kanye West, but I thought that was offensive, and I just want to say you're like a Kanye West in the greatest meaning.
No, and I really appreciate that. And, I love Kanye West.
I do too. I love Kanye.
I also think, like, he is just so far ahead of his time in his music. And people have copied him so much. All the different stuff he does.
First, people hate, and they're like, oh, wait, this is actually the future. And then everyone starts using that.
Yeah, and, like, the thing is the stuff we're doing, people ask me, like, do you have competitors? And I'm like, nobody even, like, for the price that we sell a kit that you can learn to culture, grow, genetically modify human cells, a kit, the price we sell the whole kit for, everything you need, is like normally the price people just sell the human cells for. Like, that's it. Nothing else. And you're just like, we are so far beyond everybody else.
And it's not only like the materials you receive. You receive this incredible experience and knowledge that costs much more than all of that.
Oh, of course, right? But like, I think people don't understand right now. People in biotechnology think it's the material that's valuable. And it's not. It's not the material. Anybody can make those materials.
Yeah, I think, what is it? HK cells in the Odin, $100?
Yeah, we sell them for 100. Normally people sell them for 500. They don't understand that, like, anybody can make this. They're not smart. These people who are running these companies, they're not smart. They're not doing anything special.
They didn't invent anything.
They're just, like, literally dumping some media on some cells and being like $500 because nobody else is willing to offer cheaper.
Like, the cost probably is like $10 to grow a flask.
If you include everything, if you include labor, materials, everything,
tax,
maybe $10.
Payout.
Even if you scale it, you could probably do it so much cheaper, right? Right? If you're doing it at a massive scale and people want to buy it. So it's like, there's nothing interesting about any of these companies. Companies aren't doing anything. Even mRNA vaccines, like, that wasn't anything interesting. People are like, oh my gosh. It's like, yo, I could have made the mRNA vaccine in a day if you get, not even, like,
people
literally.
Think like it's advanced alien technology when it's like, we actually have advanced technology in something that is, was it Occam's razor blade or razor? When like the simplest, is the most simplest thing it is, the most true it is probably.
Yeah,
it's
for
like,
sure.
There's freaking DNA vaccine and you're using mRNA vaccine.
It's like, what do you do? Oh my gosh, you had a poly A tail onto the end of the DNA. Like,
wow.
If you're a genetic engineer or molecular biologist or something like that, like, this. It didn't take a room full of geniuses to, like, make these mRNA vaccines.
It's not an invention.
No, it took, like, some underpaid undergrad an hour to make this. It would have taken me 2 minutes. I just literally would have taken the sequence, put it there, added in the things before and after, and I've been like, boom, I'm done,
Add some enzymes, add some, like, DNA.
Oh, yeah, do the experience. Yeah, it's just, it's, people don't realize that, like, that, they think that is, like, futuristic. Like, fuck, you ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen the shit you can do yet. Once we teach you how to make a micro-injection rig in your bedroom.
Genetically modify your own fish. And grow your modified fish meat, whatever.
Fish? You can make your own genetically modified human.
I know, but it's just like what we.
You want to hear, like, You know, you can buy embryos, human embryos.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, there are places, especially clinics, that freeze embryos. What do you think they do with the embryo when the person doesn't want to pay for the upkeep anymore?
I thought they would throw it away.
They discard it, right?
What do they actually do?
And generally what discard means is like, I can do whatever I want with it, right? And so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to try to sell it.
I would throw it away.
Why would you try to throw away the embryo?
I don't know, because I didn't come to my mind that you can sell that freaking embryo.
Yes, of course. There's couples out there who might want the embryo, right? There's people who might not be able to make their own embryo to get pregnant. There's a whole market for embryos and research, right? Research. There's a lot of research. Like, where do you think people get human embryos for research? They don't like take their own sperm and their own eggs and mix them. No.
How much is for a human embryo? What do you think?
The numbers that I've seen, $1,000.
No way. $1,000 US dollars.
Yeah.
So, you spend $1,000 in human embryo. You spend $3,000 for an embryo injection setup. You spend, I don't know, a few $1,000s on a DNA.
Well, Chris, say you go to a company like, we're not going to name any companies because we're not going to promote you motherfuckers. You go to a company that you just want to order some CRISPR, like you can buy like pre-built CRISPR injections for like a couple $100.
Oh God.
You could literally CRISPR edit a human embryo.
Implant it back to like a female.
Gosh, good luck with that. But I mean, you can, but you can take, I've looked. You know how far I've thought down the road? I've looked at taking embryology classes. So in the US, it's not like a licensed profession, an embryologist.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. But like you can go and pay $3,000 and take a class and they'll teach you like how to do IVF.
Oh wow. So add that to $5,000. Here you have $8,000.
So like
wait, so it's possible already in 2021 to produce a genetically modified human done by yourself for $10,000?
I think so. No, I mean, you could do it for way less, but like, I'm talking about the implantation and everything. Probably $10,000. But like, you can get the embryo, do the injection, from what I've seen, for like under $5,000. Whole rig. So starting, because we did it. That's the thing we're working on right now, that people are just, we're not talking much about it, but like building our embryo injection rig, like, we did it. Way cheap. And we didn't even do the cheapest. We bought that nice fancy joystick that like,
I know, Eppendorf.
We're not even using the manual micro manipulators, right? And I think we could set it up on those cheap inverted microscopes. Like, it would be a little bit sketchy because it's like small and really tiny, but like you could do it, right?
So in the future, micro injection setup for $1,000 at the Odin.
I think it's possible. I think it's really possible.
With some zebrafish embryos included. Because we figured out how to get embryos from zebrafish.
CRISPR experiment and zebrafish embryos for, let's say, $1,500, $2,000.
Gosh, it's an end price.
Yeah. I think we could do that.
That's retail price.
Yeah. I think we could do it.
I think like in a year, I feel like...
You know, we're like so close right now, right? And
we're already working on it right now.
Yeah, we've already like made zebrafish, got their eggs, right? 1 cell stage that you can then freeze, send out to people. Like, even if you just gave them embryos, not even zebrafish or anything like that. You could freeze it, send it out to somebody. Like, damn. Can you imagine if like 1,000 new people all of a sudden knew how to inject embryos? That's like probably as many as know how to do it right now in the world. You literally double the population. Like, is there any profession that you can literally just like double the population in the world overnight? No, I don't think so. But this you could. You could literally just, here you go. Overnight, 1,000, like double the population can edit embryos. And you taught them how.
You know, with the Odin, I remember, because how I got to meet Josiah and everything and be here is I just really wanted a CRISPR kit. And I remember thinking, oh my god, there is a company that sells CRISPR kit for $160. And I thought, so many people are going to know how to do CRISPR and how it works. And that was...
That's the crazy thing. That's what I tell people. I'm like, we have taught more people how to do CRISPR than all of academia combined.
Oh, yeah.
Which is crazy. This is crazy.
And I was like, this is insane. Then, a few years later, the Biohack Department, you announced that you're going to have a human cell culture class and everything. And I was like...
I can't even believe that happened.
I was honestly... I mean, I really believed... I was a huge fangirl, and still am a fangirl of the Odin. But I was like, how is he going to do that? That crossed my mind.
Same with me. I didn't believe it until I actually did. That's the thing, is like, all I have is impossible ideas.
6 impossible things before breakfast.
All you have to have is impossible ideas. That's what I think people don't understand, is that, like...
They're impossible because someone said, or someone assumed that they're impossible.
Yeah, and like, that's all I do now, is just think about how I can do impossible things. And there's so many things out there that everybody else can do. It's not just me. That's the thing. It's like, it's not, I'm special. It's not, we have a lot of, like, we're not spending $100,000 on a microinjection rig. We're not super rich and wealthy.
No.
The Odin isn't super rich and wealthy. We're not just like dumping a ton of money. No. That's the crazy thing, is that like, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not out there like, oh yeah, I'm going to build a rocket and then spend $2 billion and be like, yay. You know, no, like everything we're doing, anybody can do. And that's just so earth-shattering to me, is that like, I didn't even think I would be able to culture human cells in my garage 2 years ago. I didn't think I could do
genetically modify them.
I didn't think I could just grow them. Like 2 years ago, I didn't even think I could grow them. And the fact that like hundreds, maybe even thousands of people have now done it in their homes. Like 2 years ago, I didn't even think it was possible at all for anybody. And that's just like, gosh, wow, if that's not real, like if that was possible, what else is possible?
And now we're talking about freaking microinjection setup, which absolutely blows my mind. And still, you know, we did that. We injected the embryos. We harvested the embryos, set up the whole everything, you know. I literally built that microscope. I literally built, like, you know, like screwing everything. I built the room. I painted the walls. I puttied the walls, stained the floor, cleaned it up.
We're going to call it the Daria room.
Build the tables, build the microscopes, build the... And I'm still like... Nah, impossible. How's that impossible? When I literally did it with my hands.
I know, I can't, you know, like we were talking another time and you're like, Josiah just said, we're going to build a microinjection rig. Go do it.
Yeah, I had no knowledge at all. And he's like, go do it. You know, here's everything, you know, here's the equipment that came. Figure out how it works. Build this for me, do this. Now I'm like, we
need that, do it.
Yeah, we need that today.
That, do it.
I'm like, I don't know anything about it. I don't know any basis. And I like that you start from like kind of the complicated part and going, I like the educating backwards, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And now I'm like, what? Like, I was like, how did he trust me? Like, maybe he thinks I'm smarter than I am? How did he trust me with that stuff? And that is...
Because here's the thing, is that, like, there's only one thing that matters, and that's, like, are you willing to learn, right? And you could take anybody who's willing to learn and give them direction and push them along the way, and they're going to be able to figure things out. They are. Like, because they're going to spend the time, if they don't know the answer, they're going to look it up. If they still know the answer, they're going to look it up even more. If they still know the answer, they're going to come to me and we're going to look it up together and we're going to figure it out, right? Like, those people are going to figure out, there's no, it's impossible. It's like, I'm going to try everything that I know, and even then I'm still not going to think it's impossible. Because that's the way I think, right? And when people have that, like, desire to learn and just, like, desire to not willing to admit it's impossible, then, like, you can do crazy great things, right? Like fucking micro-injecting embryos. I didn't even think I would ever be doing that in my entire life. Can you believe that? You know how many people in the world have done this?
Quite a few. Quite a few.
Very few people have injected embryos, right? You're talking like the number is probably sub 10,000. maybe even sub 5,000, right? In the world.
Yeah.
You're one of like less than 5,000 people in the world who've done this. Like, how insane is that to think about? Maybe even less. Maybe it's like less than 1,000, right? Like, how is that even possible that we were able to do that?
Okay, so in 2 years, everyone wait for a new drop. How to grow and modify your own human embryo and like grow it outside in like a placenta in a box in your basement. Stay tuned.
You know that's how I think, though. Right?
I know you do. It sounds like a joke right now, but
you know,
is it?
That's the thing, is that like I'm 10 steps ahead of everybody, right? This stuff I'm trying to do now is stuff I've thought about years ago, right? It's just that the timing, the technology, my confidence didn't reach the point where I could just do it, you know? Like, sometimes that happens. I worked on trying to culture animal cells for like 5 years. 5 years. 5. It's just crazy to think about. To just like one single project, unsuccessful at it, worked on it for 5 years. And finally I was like, I think it's time. I think I can do it. I at that time I researched enough, I had enough information that I thought like I knew everything that I was missing. And the main thing it was just I wasn't getting fresh chicken. You know? I was buying it from the grocery store or something like that. It was the one thing. And I finally figured it out, that like that was my fault. And after that, like everything just kind of fell into place. And like I figured it out. It took me that long to figure out something so small and simple. Because it's not written about in scientific books. They don't explain this stuff. They're not like, nobody's ever done an experiment to see how long chicken cells survive, like before you can still culture them. Nobody's ever gone to the grocery store and bought chicken meat and tried to culture it in a petri dish. And I was mildly successful. There were some chickens that you'd like get chicken meat from the grocery store and you could still culture, there's still living cells in there.
That's insane.
That's insane, right? But I finally figured it out, and it's like, holy cow. Like everything, the timing, everything worked out. 5 years. Like, I thought about that. And these other projects, it's the same. It's like, I'm not there. That's what I feel like. And everybody else is back here. And like, I'm waiting for everybody to catch up to me. Very patiently. And teaching them and helping them. But I'm waiting for everybody to catch up to me. Yeah.
I love that. And I love that. I support that. I want to be in the middle of that. I want to help build that. And
you will. I mean, here's the thing, is that like, the only reason you're not there is because like you're not living in the future yet. I know this sounds ridiculous and crazy, but like, I'm not special. I'm not doing anything special. And that's what I always try to tell you and teach you, is that like, you're there. You know, I'm Yoda and you're, you know, female Luke. Who would that be? Oh, is Rey? Is that the new?
Yeah.
There's not good female. You know what I loved about Mad Max Fury Road is that they did an awesome remake with a female lead who you weren't just like, oh, they're just putting in a female lead.
Yeah.
No, Furiosa was fucking badass. Mad Max didn't even matter in the Mad Max film. They did it so good. And you have like another Star Wars, and I'm not saying, you know, Rey, whatever.
I don't think she's great, honestly.
She's not that great. Like, I'm not inspired. I'm not saying she's not okay, whatever. I'm not talking I'm just saying, like, you know, like, there are so many badass things you could do and make badass Jedi women or whatever gender you want. I don't care. And it's just, like, not there, you know? Like, there needs to be a badass female Jedi. Who is it? And somebody out there sure knows, so tell us in the comments. Probably in the book somewhere or something.
Send some DMs, Josiah's Instagram.
No,
not necessarily about increasing your penis size, as usually Josiah gets and reads it out loud at lunch at the Odin. Please don't text him that. Yeah.
But yeah, you know, whatever, like, you're that, right? Like, and I'm telling you, like, look, you have the force in you. You probably have more midichlorians than me.
Oh my god. That was, I'm sorry, too geeky. That was just people who are, I can feel the, dislike buttons just like appearing.
Than me. And so like you are going to do more than me. And like you also, but I kind of also mean a lot of other people. Like there's other people out there like you and I, we're special, but we're not uniquely special. Nobody's uniquely special, right? There are more people like us. Maybe it's 5, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 100, maybe it's 1,000. Who knows? But there are other people out there like us. I hope it's not just us, you know?
It's not. I know other people that are.
I mean, like David also, that's what I mean by us. And it's just like, we're out there and we can do it. And I know there's other people who can do it. We just have to find them. We just have to help them. We just have to support them. We just have to tell them that like, these impossible things you're capable of. Science has told you couldn't do it. It's wrong. You cannot grow cells outside a CO2 incubator. If you do, it's not going to work well and they're all going to die. Don't believe it. You can only do transformations after you make competent cells by freezing and thawing them and using a centrifuge and all that stuff. It's not true. All these things that people try to tell you are true. They're not. And like once you realize that, once you're just like, fuck you all, I'm going to do what I want and I'm going to figure this, like, you start doing impossible things. And like you're there, you can do it, right? You did the microscope. So now it's like, what's next, right? You are capable of that. Other people are capable of that. No matter what your experiment is, you start out the same as everybody else. So did I. There was a time where I never transformed E. coli before with GFP. I had to be able to do that. There was a time when like I never did human cell culture. I had to do that. Right? Same with you. Like, it doesn't matter what your experiment you're on right now, what you're learning, like, you can get to the place we are. I'm not a genius. Like,
very little people are, and they're like, do you really even want to be a genius?
The information is out there, right? Like,
everyone can learn science. I try to prove that a lot to people in Ukraine. Everyone. Even crackheads like us.
Seriously. Not real crack. We don't do real crack.
No crack.
Kids don't do drugs.
No, don't. Do biohacking, not drugs.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's, and that's the crazy thing is like, I don't need to be told anymore I can do impossible things. I just, in my head, these things I've done that I once thought impossible have been so many that it just doesn't bother me anymore. And like, you're getting there too, right? You're getting enough stuff under your belt that nobody thought was possible, that like, you can do these things.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I am excited for the future. I used to be scared about the future before I started doing biohacking, but now I am excited about the future. And because I feel like future was so inevitable to me. It was doings of someone else and just stuff you're left with by someone else. We're literally being stalked by David right now. It's okay. And now I'm excited for the future because I know I can be a part of it and I can change something about it. And y'all also can do that, and I really hope that more
Anybody
and more
can. Anybody can, and that's the crazy thing is that like, I want to imagine I'm super special. I do, I really do. I want to be special, just like every other human being does. Like, I really do. But also at the same time, I realize that like, I'm not. I'm really not. Like, nothing in me that's led up to this point in my life has been extraordinary. It's just like a pretty boring, normal life of somebody who did mostly mediocre.
Well, I don't necessarily agree to that. But yeah, it kind of turned out into this like very motivational emotional pep talk, on like, YouTube channel about psychology and believe in yourself and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know. That's hey, you know,
You're just being truly emotional, I guess.
doing biohacking, like yeah. Anybody can, yeah. I just, I want to motivate and inspire people to do this stuff because, like, that future I see in my head, I want to live in it so bad.
Like, you want to be in there.
And, like, I know the only way to be there is to, like, get other people to my place and teach them. I don't want to be the guy in Blade Runner who's selling the eyeballs in the room down the alley.
It's geek moment again, Josiah. You had 3 strikes already.
I don't want to be that guy, but I want to be the guy who's able to go to that place, and maybe be like, "What's up, man? Like, let me see your new eyeballs today. How's it going?" Like, I'm not interested in eyeballs. I don't want to make, synthetic eyeballs, but somebody does. I wanted to recruit them to my team to, like, let's build this world together, You make the synthetic eyeballs, I'll make the synthetic human. No, what I really want to make, and this is... And it sounds super weird and crazy. Like, I don't think there's anything I say that doesn't sound weird and crazy, but, like, I think the next big frontier in the world is giving animals some sort of basic human-like intelligence. So, like, say we take a monkey or a gorilla, gorilla's closest to human or whatever, and, like, fuck with them for 5 years until we can make them, like, 3rd grader level intelligence, right? And then
then you can't just kill them or keep them in a zoo, because you won't keep it.
What you do is you give them
grader.
jobs,
Interesting.
right? And they
I
work.
definitely didn't hear that
And you build up
before.
a population of slave gorillas.
Okay, we're gonna cut that out.
No, but it's what like.
But is it
Capitalism in society is built on slavery. It's built on low-wage working. And every human alive right now is not willing to put up with low-wage working anymore because we're connected across the internet so people can see, oh, shit, like, there's people in the U.S. have a ton of money and I live on no money. Like, I'm not willing to put up with this anymore. Whereas before you could just be cut off from society so you thought a penny a day was good.
I agree, yeah.
But it's not happening anymore. What's going to happen? It's going to be robots a little bit. And I think it's also going to be like, an animal doesn't have rights. There's going to be an argument about, like, why a gorilla with human-like intelligence shouldn't be able to work. But, like, eventually the corporations are going to win. They always do.
Unfortunately.
And they're going to be like, look, we can pay this person $1 a day, have them live in, like, some shitty-ass apartment. And, like, they don't care. They're just, like, 3rd grader intelligence. And they show people, like, their beautiful care facilities that they have of these animals. Some dystopian sci-fi movie or novel. But, like, it's going to happen. It's going to work. It's happened with humans, Like,
oh, yeah. By humans.
Like, first we tried to exploit the animals. Then we figured out they weren't smart enough, so we started to exploit the humans. And now what's going to happen is, like, humans don't want to be exploited anymore. So we're going to have to figure out something that's, like, above animals but below humans.
Crazy stuff. Guess it's kind of getting late and I feel bad for the guys because they're just waiting for us and we're gonna wrap this up, but I really enjoyed this conversation. I do forget, like, while recording this podcast, I forget that it's a podcast and not like a conversation between us. And
it's true.
Thank you so much for doing this. I know how hard it is. And everyone else, send Josiah love. If you are gonna text him, ask him how he's doing. Say something nice. I don't know, compliment him, because he deserves it. And please, remember that he's a human being. And thank you so much. And everyone, if you want to support our lab, what we're doing, we have a Patreon, Yanelab.
Support.
Yes,
support. Give them
thank
support.
you.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like the YouTube channel. Support their Patreon.
I didn't even pay you to say that.
No, she didn't. But, like, the thing is like, people like you need people's support, right? And I don't think people need that. They'd be like, oh, Daria's doing fine. She's doing great. She doesn't need my help. But, like, look, she needs your help, and any help is good, even if it's just $1, $2, whatever, because, like, the stuff we're doing Like, the money you give is supporting the stuff we're doing. 100%. It's supporting her running her lab in Ukraine and doing the experiments she's doing. Any money matters. Donate, share this podcast, you know.
Thank you so much. That was very, very good. I can do that. It's always actually awkward doing this. But it is important to us, and we could do so much more. And so, yeah, support us on Patreon, subscribe, share whatever you want to do. Dislike, comment, good comments, bad comments, all comments are good. And if you want to support Josiah and the Odin, go shop at the Odin,
Buy a kit, learn yourself. That's
start.
The biggest support you can do is, not even give us money. It's that you can invest in yourself, which is, a ridiculous thing to say, but it's just, invest in yourself. And you're investing in biohacking, you're investing in the Odin, you're investing in the future.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye.